Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, featuring the best Protoss player in the world, in the red, the mysterious MaxPax. But up against him, the most entertaining Zerg in ranking himself as #1 overall. Of course, the final boss. It's Dark. These two don't play often, being from entirely different regions, only playing online. But every time they do, drama ensues. And yes, I know both of them, especially Dark, are something of drama queens. But there will definitely be queens in dramatic locations. I can almost guarantee you that. Especially if you're so kind as to like and subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,244 likes on this series, on this cast. And I'll cast another series. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully, it's about to get a little bit better. Very excited to have MaxPax versus Dark. If you saw the Team Liquid map contest match between them, you'll know why. But I think MaxPax is more adaptable than pretty much any Protoss out there. But somehow Dark still takes it to the next level. Hero has this kind of... He has like a special potion or something that he drinks before facing Dark. So that way he can still lose 20 probes, but win the series. That does kind of seem to be a whole lot of Hero series. But Zerglings got in. I don't think they killed a single probe, but maybe 10 or so more Zerglings could do better than that. MaxPax already has pre-walled. He definitely saw these Zerglings coming. I love that due diligence. That's how you know. If you could cover up the names, facing off against Dark, you would know it's not Hero. As MaxPax, the moment he stepped away from the wall, he temporarily placed a pylon down. Yes, they, despite their gateways, walling and door technology eludes them, but they do know how to construct additional pylon. Oh my god, look how crazy that tree looks. Moving on. Why is there a drone here, Dark? I think Dark asking himself the same question. The Adept wondering why it's out there on its own. Oracle tries to come in to save it. I'm pretty sure it was an accident, and he's sending it home now. Did it get killed by the, I think the Oracle picked it up on the way by. Yeah, the second Oracle came back and spotted the drone and slaughtered it out in the field. It was a scouting drone, right, Dark? 100% scouting drone, intentional, just like scouting Colossi and scouting siege tanks. Another Adept caught and killed. It's open season right now on the Adepts, as it often is when they're caught on the open field. They need their backs up against something. Ideally, at the very least, another Adept. But tucked in between those minerals or next to a pylon usually is the only way they survive against the early Zerglings. So MaxPax has lost 2 Adepts. His Oracles, Brenda, I don't... The Oracles asked politely yet firmly to leave. And for now, they will. Another Oracle heading by. So far, nothing untoward from either side. We got Blink and a Forge on the way. The Zerglings will catch and kill. They're actually, oh my god, he's slightly out of shield battery range. Dark just pulls them down by their stubby little stalker legs and brings them down to his level. But 5 drones killed on the other side. Dark was a bit stingy with the spore crawlers. MaxPax actually deactivated his Oracle right before Dark transferred through it, which could have been even more disastrous. Ends up getting 8 kills. Though the probes actually only lost 3. It looked bad, but the Zerglings haven't actually been able to pick off very much. 8 drone kills is definitely above the bar here. As Dark struggling. He's only had 55 workers overall. He's got an infestation pit on the way. Will Sir Richard and his band of merry brethren make an appearance? Because that is a suspicious timing for an infestation pit. It could be for a rush to Hive. Dark is well known for that. But I'd give it about even odds on Swarm hosts as well. Of course, having Infestors against Blinkstalkers is good, but it's not nearly as powerful as it once was many moons ago, when Fungal did about 50% more damage and stunned as opposed to now, where it only does about 25 damage with no bonus to armored. And units can still move, if a bit slowly. So now we see one Infestor on the way. Just the one for now. He doesn't really have enough Vespene gas for any additional. Hydralisk Den behind it, but one Infestor to rule them all and hold those Stalkers in place. Will it be long enough, though? Always an important question. Gets an Overlord to start. Dark has plenty of Zerglings. I'm sure he saw the stasis there. Tries to slip through. Creates a bit of a force field for both sides. Oracles light up. Corrosive Bile. And MaxPax backs off. That Infestor, I'm not sure which hatchery it's coming out of, but it seems very relevant here. As, oh wait, he's got one in the front. That's a second Infestor. The Infestor's been spotted. Massive stasis. That's one of those stasis that's possibly more of a lie. Oh, and he dodges it with a blink. Oh, he's able to get out of there. The stasis is almost as much of a liability to MaxPax as it is Dark. Because if he waits too long, then they'll come out of stasis right on top of his Blinkstalkers. The Oracles already lit up there. There's the Zerglings. Blinks out. He's blinking out of the Fungals. And while the projectile is quite quick, it's no EMP. So it is possible. Yes, EMP is technically a projectile. So far, I don't know how much of it is MaxPax just anticipating it and how much is actually seeing it and dodging it, but either way, still impressive foresight. The Zergling count is quite dramatic. And remember, behind this, MaxPax doesn't have a hive. He's building Hydras. And of course, MaxPax doesn't have a hive, but neither does Dark, more importantly, and relevantly. MaxPax has a fourth base. How many Robos? Just the one. There's the hive started. Hydralisks on the way as well. And he's already got Groovy Spines for that extra range. Muscular augments for the speed, especially off creep, to be able to track down some of these Stalkers. Hydralisk Zergling is probably the best composition against the Blinkstalkers. They get no bonus damage to anything in that composition, but it's quite expensive. At 50 gas a piece on those Hydras. This time he gets a Fungal, and this time he's going to catch several of the Stalkers. The rest will blink out. A few Zerglings caught in stasis. He needs enough to keep the Stalkers busy and not picking off his more valuable units. There's another Fungal ready, but this time he's able to blink out. Charge lots headed in towards the other side, but the Roaches and Hydras already in position. Some charge lots in the main assassinate a queen, but the reinforcements. Here comes MaxPax. 3 different sides here. The Zealots are slicing through, but the Roach Hydra able to deal with it. Kind of just throwing Zealots away now. The Queen transfused just in time, and Dark will hold on all 3 fronts. If, suffering maybe a couple more Queen losses than he would have liked, which is 2 in this case. So, still, a couple more Queen losses than he would have liked. MaxPax aggressively expanding, though. A 5th base already on the way. Playing like the Zerg here, whereas Dark is just trying to keep his unit composition together. MaxPax is throwing everything at him to pull it apart. It's just Stalkers and Zealots right now. 27 Stalkers. And just a handful of Zealots. But the Hydras, even against the 2-1 Blinkstalkers, trade quite well. The Zerglings trickling through. The Infestors rebuilding energy. They should have a Fungal momentarily. The Zergling triggers a stasis on its own. Meanwhile, a huge group of Zealots up to the north side. Gonna take out Dark's 5th base. Big recall. You can't risk it. Might be able to get on top of it. There's just not quite enough army here for Dark to fight. Meanwhile, though, the Zealots are flanking in. Who's flanking who? Actually, Stalkers blink in, chasing down the Roaches. Dark is maxed out, though, replacing units even as they die. The Queen's on the high ground. The battle scattered throughout the map. A tug of war, a tug of pull is what I was going to say, but that sounded real dumb, and I said it in my head, but now I said it outside in the world with my voice. Moving on. Zealots Yes. +2, done. Wow, that was a rough one. And the disruptor, scouting disruptor, classic tactic. No, he sees it. Does he fire off the shot? He holds on to it. Hydras, a very unlucky Zergling. It goes back to its true purpose as a scouting disruptor. But with the disruptors on the field, there is an existential threat to all these Hydras, these Zerglings, and these Roaches. A single hit could devastate his army to the point he easily gets cleaned up by the Blink Stalkers. But MaxPax still some damage on the other side. The charge lot's headed in towards the mineral line. Hydra's coming back to defend, and more Hydras retreating from the 6 o'clock base. So far, still no decisive advantage. We have lurkers on the way. MaxPax has lost a smidge more gas, but Dark has lost a smidge more minerals. Either way, not a big difference. It really comes down to the tech and who's able to take a better position. And right now, I think based on the upgrades, I favor MaxPax. He has 5 going on 6 bases. He has just 1 robo, so that's a point of contention. But he's about to finish +3. He's building Ruptors. Notably, he doesn't have a fleet beacon, but he has 12 gateways and counting. But Dark coming in with the lurkers. Meanwhile, Disruptor shot, found a big chunk of Dark, but Dark strikes back with the fungals. Another Disruptor, Dark looking the other way, hits the center mass. Dark took out one of the bases, but MaxPax strikes back immediately. Both sides of the map taking terrible damage as the lurkers are moving up, and there are no Disruptors here to stop them. Recall. Off cooldown for now, but I'm not sure exactly what you would recall without giving up too much position on the map. It will be MaxPax who flanks around, though doesn't... Oh, he does have an observer over the top here. And Dark will be cleaned up. Where are we? Alright, there go the lurkers. In terms of units lost, still about even. But I think the momentum continually shifts towards MaxPax as he keeps getting the upgrades here. The lurkers are a known quantity. Dark doesn't have enough of them to really impose on the map. He might be able to sneak by with a few, but 4 lurkers do not really hold ground, as right now these Blink Stalkers are proving. With just Blink Stalkers, yes. Okay, you can prove me wrong, but once you start adding things like 2 more robos, and any amount of charge lots. The Blink Stalkers, well, a strong gust of wind or maybe some hurtful words would be enough to knock over those Stalkers. So let's not say that they're going to be the counter to anything here. But they are the range support. The poor man's Dragoon. The lurker count is growing. He's at 12 and counting. And MaxPax shows no signs of heading up the tech tree to carriers. So, without that, he's going to be reliant on fighting directly on the ground with the mass disruptors. We've seen a lot of Immortal play lately. Well, looks like the lurkers were in place. And, well, the Hydra's here, gets a transfuse. Picks up the Zealots. A bit of a risky business there, though does not have the Warp Prism speed. I'm interested to see MaxPax with Mass Ruptor against this. Immortals are more reliable, but... Oh, takes out the Prism. Now, that angle of attack is shut down. The game slows down a bit. Ooh, workers, before they're even able to emerge from the eggs, obliterated by the Purification Nova. And now MaxPax is acknowledging the strength of this many lurkers. The number has gotten too damn high. He's going to keep trying to work on them. And even gets another one. But he's clearly headed towards carriers. But is it too little and is it too late? Dark has the lurk. Well, those Zealots, they're tanking so many lurker hits, eventually get sliced up. Another round is warped in. There is no detection to take out the observer here. Gotta be careful of the angle you fight with the Zealots. But eventually they're surrounding the lurkers. And, well, the Hydras are physically blocking them from killing the lurkers. They'll sacrifice themselves for it. And flings out a full broadside of the disruptors. Another volley. And this is all covering for the carriers. I'm sure Dark knows eventually the carriers will arrive. Because when you focus for this long, and this hard, on lurkers, there's almost no choice anymore. But that's so many lurkers. He's at 16 lurkers in case. He's just building lurkers as he gets the resources. Still, a huge group of stalkers out of the map, which is quite a liability. They'll, cut back over the bridge here on Hecate. MaxPax, a mothership in production. The lurkers. How many Hydras are left over? 13. Dark has to know. He can't sit back. Eventually, the carrier count gets too high. Right now, only 3. But with a mothership plus 1 air, MaxPax has been very focused on maintaining an upgrade advantage, and it's paid off so far. But he hasn't won with it yet. Fires off a warning shot. Catches a lurker. And, being very careful here, will blink out of the fungal. Well, that one was pretty predictable. The lurker's not burrowed. We'll dunk their heads in now. 2 spires on the way. Yeah, he knows. Now it just comes down to timing. The zealots saunter by. The lurkers. Deep tissue massage on the way out. The stalkers trying to fight, but 3 lurkers more than enough to get them to turn around. They do have +3 ranged attack now. The Fortress of Dark, or the Dark Fortress, we could have just led with that, is coming together. More spore crawlers, double spire on the way, but the carriers are here. He's gonna try to chew through as many of the lurkers and defenses as he can to start things off. The Infestor throws out a fungal, more out of spite than anything. As he's realizing the carriers are already here, the Disruptors fires off 3. Actually kind of misses. Point blank, that one hits. Actually misses the curveball. Disruptors. Hard to control in large numbers. Despite their at some point, you have so many disruptors, they become a liability again. Just make sure they aim in the general direction of the enemy. I think this is why most players prefer the Immortals. They might not be able to kill quite as much over time, but they're a pretty known quantity as opposed to the Disruptors, which are very all or nothing. Meanwhile, Stalkers and Zealots. Dark. I think he's waiting to decide what to build right now. He's gonna try to take it. There we go. 13 more Corruptors. He maxes out. The Zealots. Oh, getting sliced up. MaxPax doesn't have so much money he can just throw well, but he's gonna go for the massive recall into the main. A total recall here. A huge gamble. How much is he bringing? He brings everything. Well, that's a crazy play out of MaxPax. He could recall out. Time warp into recall. They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Well, he immediately dips out. Wow, MaxPax gave it a shot and immediately pulled back on it as... Yeah, that was a bit of an ambitious army. He tried to get Dark to dislodge from his... he brought too much with the mothership, I think, that he wasn't able to take advantage of the position on the field because he's too busy making sure his units don't get slaughtered in Dark's base. Well, now the carrier count has grown dramatically. There's only 13 Corruptors on the field, but 3 Vipers and 16 Hydras. I don't count Hydras as anti-air, not particularly, as they are so vulnerable to so much on the ground. But if the Vipers are able to get pickoffs here, including, well, you know, the most valuable one, the most valuable Protoss, the mothership. Actually, the mothership isn't even the most expensive unit anymore. The daughter ship over here. Well, the Vipers have full energy. That is very relevant going into this fight. Disruptor misses the mark. Don't know how many lurkers are over here. He brought an observer with this, but there's still a whole lot of... He micros back a lurker. Lurker's doing a lot of damage to the stalkers, but these are... He doesn't have any shield upgrades, but 3-3 on the ground. Psystorm done. The last piece of the splash damage puzzle, at least for now. But it comes down to the fight. I thought this game might be one of those that seesaws back and forth till someone gets kicked off a cliff. But instead we slowed down into the more methodical Sky Toss versus your late game Zerg army. which is a bit more of a mixed bag between the Vipers, potentially Infestors, Corruptors, Lurkers, Hydras, whatever Queens. He's anticipating a Mothership, but the Mothership is on the other side of the map. Dark, actually. Well, there's a vanguard of spore crawlers here. Oh no, the Observer! He actually lost the Observer, but the Disruptors don't care. Meanwhile, Storm is done. The Hydras move back, taking a lot of damage there, losing a significant amount of those Interceptors. Will he try to Parasitic Bomb and then dunk on the carriers and use the Parasitic Bomb to kill the Interceptors? You can't target them manually, but if they're flying around within the cloud, they will be taken out. Interceptors have 40 HP and 40 shields. Parasitic Bomb does 125 damage over time. Or is it 120? Either way, it doesn't even take all of it to kill it. Gotta be very careful with those Observers. Oh, good feedbacks. Looks like he's just gonna dunk with the Parabomb, though. The Archon's underneath. The Time Warp. He's trying to get rid of all those Interceptors, but MaxPax actually manually brings back a lot of the Interceptors. Down goes the Mama Ship. And the carriers are getting chased down, but Dark is losing so much of his army. The 2 feedbacks, and he just taps it out. He's not even gonna bother refilling. It's not gonna get easier from there. So, game 1 goes pretty decisively to MaxPax. It looked like he was maybe losing some of that advantage a little earlier on, but at the end of the day, he's able to hold it together, and the feedbacks were absolutely key. It felt like Dark really wanted to get it done with Lurkers. He felt obligated to fight the carriers, but it wasn't something... Well, I don't think there are too many Zergs out there who are like, you know what I love? Fighting against Sky Toss. Cyril's like, oh, pretty standard business. Well, that's the short list. Game 2, hard lead. MaxPax versus Dark. And so far, MaxPax with quite a command of all stages of the game, really. At no point did it feel like MaxPax was anywhere that close to losing. Whereas Dark had a few tenuous moments where he was barely able to keep it together. So overall, MaxPax looking stronger so far, but of course, I don't expect any single game to have too much influence over any other game when Dark is involved. Yeah, forced to take his third. For a moment, I didn't look at the minimap. And didn't see the hatchery down here. But ends up taking that Zerg. Third base. Gonna be a Stargate out of MaxPax. Stargate just gives you everything you need in the early game. You got scouting. You got some form of pressure. You force the Queens and the drones to at least care about their survival a little bit. And you have defense. The Oracle kind of does it all, as there's no early Zerg unit except for the Queen that can provide any sort of real anti-air, which is why sometimes they're called, despite their joint pain off a creep, to attack as well. Gets a drone. The Zerglings, though. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, the Adepts are sneaking in from either side. Very cute play from MaxPax will be pretty hard countered by Zerglings just walking into his base. Well, another Adept's about to finish, but oh my god. Dark just gets it. The Zerglings are already inside. The Adept Shade's too far. And now the Zerglings are... He's just making more links. Uh-oh. This is very bad. Dark only has 18 drones, but he's quickly evening out that worker count. Working on the pylon that's building oracles. The oracle is out of energy. If this pylon goes down, I don't think he'll lose it. Trying to keep the Zerglings alive, even one. Can he get the Cyber Core before... No, there's not going to be I think he's gonna get the Cyber Core, but not before Warp Gate finishes. Gets a Zerg. The pylon goes down. The Zerglings are inside the house. Just a good old-fashioned Zerg rush. Dark. Well, he certainly doesn't like the late game, does he? If MaxPax can stabilize at any point, he still has more probes. The oracles are entirely out of energy, though. There's only one adept. The overcharged shield battery is not enough. The adept is holding the wall here. He's gonna have to build. He decides to light up the oracle again. Dark is just tanking it. He knows there's not that much energy. He's breaking into the buildings. Another zealot will be warped in. More Zergs. There are too many of them. We cannot get out. The zealots will light up the oracle. There's 10 energy. Past the 25 to turn it on. He's just killed out the pie. He's just making Zerglings. Look at the mini-map. They don't stop coming. Well, and we're all tied up. Dark goes back to the spawning pool. Pulls out a few dozen Zerglings, and just like that. You gotta cross your T's, dot your I's, and build your temporary pylons to wall off. The amount of top-tier players that Dark beats by just running Zerglings into their base, like this is the oldest strategy in StarCraft history. Quite literally the only strategy essentially entered into the popular lexicon. Not even necessarily reference to StarCraft. The Zerg Rush. But Dark, in 2024, 26 years after StarCraft came out, 18 years after MaxPax came out, still Zerg Russian. Oceanborn. We'll see if MaxPax can keep the Zerglings out of his base. So far. Well, he actually has not yet succeeded at keeping Dark Zerglings out of his base. It's just the amount that really makes the difference. What amount of Zerglings every night is healthy? Alright, 1 cup of Zerglings? 2 cups? Right, is that... I think 1. Alright, everything in moderation. Stargate. I was getting into the reasons why the Stargate was good, and then Zerglings walked into the base. Well, Oracles are great for early defense, but the real issue there was how early. They were slowlings. He just snuck them by. He's already sneaking more by. Does MaxPax change his build? Oh, MaxPax is shading back this time, yep. Not a large difference, but definitely an important one. As Dark, I think he definitely saw the shade back, so he's not sending in any links. He did have them waiting, just 2. But he just, like, it's keeping that your hand close to your chest there. Is however many Zerglings you're waiting to send in. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 10. And now MaxPax clearly acknowledging the risk that 10 Zerglings could pose. He's got 8 in total on the map, a single Adept shading out. He actually built a Stalker, second after the Adept this time. Something to maybe push away the Overlord later. Stalker headed out, tempting the Zerglings. He knows the Zerglings are out there. He's relying 100% on the Oracle to protect the Stalker. A bit of a high-stakes game of chicken here. The Oracle lights up. Dark apparently doesn't care. Dark just goes for it like, yeah, that'll teach you to trust. Actually, it worked out just fine. Barely took any damage on the Stalker. Killed all the Zerglings. It's about as comfortable as a start as you're gonna get as MaxPax. I like the idea. He's just gonna let him kill him. All right. Fear in his heart. Mind games are more important than meta games. All right, Moracles in production. A pair of them already done. The Adepts cancel at the last moment. The Spore Crawler finishes. And gonna get 4 drones. And not even take too much of the obligatory damage to get those drones. 3rd Nexus on the way. Alongside the full rest of the tech tree. Really filling it out here. We got the Twilight, the Forge, and the Robo, which makes me think. It's something I don't like to do. But makes me think of an early Warp Prism timing here. Now, is that going to be Blink? Probably, because there are 2 gases mining at the natural. But charge it is. Oh, Templar Archives. With charge. Yeah. Okay, I'm like, Blink? That's kind of an odd one. Okay. Would have been smarter if I said that in the first place, but we'll edit in post, right, Jimmy? If they like and subscribe. MaxPax with 400 gas in the bank. So we're waiting for that Templar Archives now. Oracle's still poking and prodding. There's a Baneling nest on the way. There it is. The Zergling, hello? Oh, that warping. Stop right there. That warping was perfectly timed. 9 Banelings on the way. Dark just going. Oh, whoa. Hello? Charge won't be done, plus won't be done. Dark just pulling the trigger. He only has 46 drones. The Templar Archives isn't done. Everything's coming together, but it's still in the mail and has yet to be delivered. The probes will all die at this base. The base itself probably will as well. The Baneling's being quite efficient about it. Getting probes and damaging these pylons. And I guess it was foreshadowing that he would just go. The Oracles are out of energy. Some Adepts on the other side gonna rack up some kills. Dark can't really afford any losses right now. He loses 5 drones to the Adepts. MaxPax still has more workers. There's some Archons in a Prism as well. Those Archons are a huge deal, as there's nothing that can really deal with them, at least not cost effectively. The Zerglings, of course, could surround, but as long as the Warp Prism survives, MaxPax has almost infinite micro potential. But what he doesn't have is Archons back at his main. And now there's a bunch of Zerglings clawing at the door. The Oracles come back, but the Archons on the other side, and +1 weapons complete. That's a huge upgrade for both the Archons and for the charge lots. But the Queen count. Behold, ladies, whatever comes up that ramp. You mean Archons? Shut up, Karen, I'm making a speech. You stand your ground. What if we need to retreat to inject? Stop it! Oh, sorry, I blacked out for a... Archon's taking a lot of damage. Observer may die incidentally, but there's no more Banelings to stop the charge lots. He gets a surround, actually surrounds and kills an Archon with Zerglings. But the charge lots, and the Zerglings are in the base! The Oracles may be able to clean them up. Roaches are popping out. Dark has a supply lead, but it's all in the larva. And there's wow, he made a tower defense maze at his natural. MaxPax will hold the line for now, but at what cost? He's gonna lose all the probes at his natural, but the Zealots come down to defend. The Archon, and Dark doesn't have anything at home. And that's it! MaxPax just knocks him out. The charge lot timing is more than enough. And he's able to turn it all around. Wow. What an experience. MaxPax holds it together. He defends his main base. If he didn't have his main base set up like a maze, the Zerglings could have gotten so much more damage done. But he actually prepared for it, and now he's on match point. Wow, what a back and forth. Dark again, trying just almost random seeming Zergling timing. And MaxPax just barely holding it together. But that brings us to game number 3. Site Delta. All right. What does MaxPax have? I like the charge slot Archon timing. It was really all coming together. I think that would have been a devastating timing if left alone. Dark? Either he smelled something or just decided now's the time. But with that, like, almost subconscious killer instinct, it feels like. Dark finds a timing that almost outright kills MaxPax at literally the perfect moment. He could not have picked a better timing for the Ling Bainolin. The defining characteristic was MaxPax, while defending and barely holding it together, sent in 2 adepts that both distracted Dark to some extent and killed 5 drones, which usually isn't that relevant until you have less than 50 drones. So MaxPax being able to hamstring Dark's economy and drag some attention away, I think made the difference between Dark being able to refill some more drones and then smash MaxPax with like a roach timing, and then MaxPax being able to keep him off balance and eventually knock him out. So well done. Very calm under pressure. And able to patch up all the potential mistakes from the game before. Adept actually completes the shade. And there's only 2 Zerglings here. More popping out. But part of the benefit of forcing the Zerg into the 3rd base is now you're more vulnerable to things like Adepts, Oracles. Just general annoyances that Protoss not only loves to, but is somewhat obligated to inflict. Oracle in production, as is customary. Speed done. How many Lings on the map? 10 of them. Quite a... that's a bit higher than usual. 6 to 8. We'll just go for the surround. The Oracle will come back to defend. It's headed to save the Adepts. The Adepts are staying slippery enough, which is a technical term. The Oracle will light up. He's just going to go for the probe. I don't think he's going to get it. MaxPax slaps down the Nexus. Pulls it out of his... wherever they keep that Nexus. I assume that it's like downloading. You wouldn't download a Nexus. Hell yeah, I would. I gotta... if I could. Right, if I could warp in anything just by essentially whipping it out, a data cable or some Bluetooth thing. Why am I making this more complicated? All right, it's obviously the cloud. They call them IRPods. All right, this joke didn't come together. Moving on. Adepts are able to tuck into those minerals back to back, besides the other one who was left out and dies first. Again, Dark with random Zerglings. It looks like they're going to do enough damage to justify their presence and maybe even cancel the 3rd. Oracles, 2 of them here. Lights up the 2nd and saves it. Only the shield stripped away, which will come back if allowed to. Well, for the most part. The Zerglings. You recalled a probe. Oh, it's a disaster. What happened? I need to... I'm sorry. How? Let's go to the MaxPax cam. I think he was trying to catch... Why would he... It feels like he did that intentionally. But why? Maybe he was trying to crush... Oh, that's a big miss, though. Is that a game-losing recall? I mean, what else would he recall, though? Like, there's nothing to recall. I'm so confused. It's great. It's so weird. Well, I think the only explanation, he was trying to chrono and just hit the Nexus with a recall instead. Maybe grid keys or something. Slippery Cheeto dust fingers. I gotta say, those Protoss fingers don't look particularly... do they even have fingers? Yeah, they do, but they're like weird... Like almost like hooves. Moving on. Anyways, so Dark has chosen more Zerglings, making him very, very similar to a Platinum Leaguer. But unlike a Platinum Leaguer, he does have 4 bases, a lair, and more drones on the way. So he's finally decided to let this base go for now. And let's take a look at the damage. MaxPax still at 57 workers. The emotional damage of that recall still balanced out by the fact that it's a big commitment to go for this many Zerglings. It costs a lot of larvae. A lot of minerals as well. You simply can't be building drones when you're making this many lings. So right now, Dark has map control in the sense that any units that walk out on the map, the Zerglings will probably kill them, but the Oracle's coming in, but immediately turn around on seeing the angry queens. "16 roaches on the way. +1 melee. Oh. So, not enough to constitute an all-in out of Dark. He's now got roach speed in production. MaxPax is once again going for the Archon charge lot. This is going to be a very different sort of timing, though, as Dark isn't actively killing him. And also, he's going to have roaches with speed, which is a much better long-term counter to specifically the Archon charge lot. Able to kite it back for quite a bit. But there are melee attack upgrades instead of ranged attack here. So we'll see what Dark does with the Zerglings. He now has a Baneling nest on the way. That's the first one, right? You've seen occasional double Baneling nests before. A solid army coming together for MaxPax. He only has 6 gates to back it up. Is there a prism? Yes. Alright. That's the second rubble on the way. Prism headed towards the main. Ground weapons level 1 about to complete. And there it is. 32 more lings on the way. The queen's already in position to try to repel the war prism. Stasis catches some of the lings. A good catch there, but the prism in the main base. The queen's, no! Get off my creep! The roaches are just gonna weather the oracles. And without the war prism here, the Archons will get chased down and killed. The Oracles don't have nearly enough energy. MaxPax has bitten off way more than he can chew, especially considering Protoss don't even have mouths. So now with roaches, the immortal, and GG, just like that, it turns around. Dark finds his timing, holds it together, and rips MaxPax apart, bringing us to match point. A back and forth between these two. Aside from game 1, it has definitely seesawed. I think MaxPax has what it takes to hold it together, but Dark has so much experience in these extended series, and it really shows. He is not the least bit afraid. I think it's the lack of caring. Alright, it's a lack of empathy, potentially, that helps a lot with just doing these sort of YOLO timings. That... Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Game last. Proxy hatch. Thank you for demonstrating my point probably better than I ever could. Dark. Well, and this is a proxy hatch cheese. This is not like a hatch block or a nexus block here, because he is hiding it. But it's been spotted. The probe spotted it. Dark doesn't know it's been spotted yet, so MaxPax has time to react. This could be a very short, but not guaranteed to be game, as MaxPax should have the time to react to this. I think that was a near perfect timing, as Dark is going to be pretty much committed to this, though MaxPax has clearly already been preparing a response. So the probe. The probe, the other probe is the real MVP. This probe confirming there's nothing else to really worry about. He's building a queen on location. I don't think the zealots are going to be able to kill the hatch in time, even if they're able to just focus on it. There's a shield battery. Dark wants to take his natural here. He settles for, well, there's another draw. He's going for the gold, of course. And the Stalker. The Queen, well, with the Stalker, it looks like the Queen will get out. Yeah. And going to start back creeping. So this is gonna go real sideways real fast. All right, here we go. And so it begins. And by that, I mean, I have no idea where we go from here. Because Dark, of course, is taking the gold. The Queen, he's a bit supply blocked here. Gonna drain some shield battery energy, but MaxPax has already taken his Nexus. I think MaxPax has put together about perfect response. I don't know how much more you could possibly do without, you know, like pulling probes to try to kill it, but I don't think that's worth it. Dark has been in worse situations before. So Dark, he does have the gold on the way. He's transferring some drones. And by that I mean, okay, he's gonna kill the probe and then transfer more drones. MaxPax doesn't know about this base, but he just clicked something directly towards it. In fact, I think, yeah, he sent a probe out to scout, but the Zerglings were left behind. The probe is saved by the battery. I think he strongly suspects the gold base. Ah, Dark with the double gold, of course. Go big or go home. Another probe tried to sneak out, but the Overlord spotted it. He strongly suspects the gold bases, but he doesn't know for sure. And there's nothing that can get out and see, because for the first game, so far, MaxPax doesn't have a Stargate. And now, of course, that's because of some exigent circumstances. But either way, he finally looks like he's going to get a probe out. The Creep Tumor doesn't have vision up to the high ground. It's the Creep Tumors that provide vision. The Zerglings, they don't spot the probe. He's going to get the scout. What is he going to do with that information? Again, I'm not sure. This game is off the rails. So Dark has double gold, but barely any drones. Meanwhile, MaxPax has plenty. The Stalkers are actually... Are you kidding me? Oh my god, the Stalkers are physically stuck. He has to kill his own shield battery because the Stalkers were tripping over each other. Which is... I don't think I've ever seen that before. But he decides that's the solution. Wow. The Stalkers are actually going to go around. But the Creep Tumor spotted this. He knows, like, Dark knows this is happening. He's down 10 workers right now. He's got Ravagers. We'll see what he tries to do with Corrosive. He's gonna wait for the Zerglings to help. But the Warp Prism is incredibly important. He doesn't have Blink, but he has the Ghetto Blink of the Prism. Loses 2 Stalkers and an Adept right off the bat. That hurts a lot. And now the Stalkers will be microed back with the Prism, but is Dark turning this around? He has to try to juggle the Stalkers, but there's not enough room in the Prism for everyone. I don't think everyone's gonna make it back home. But there is a shield battery here. Dark just gonna keep up the aggression. He has the creep spread, of course. He's got more roaches and Zerglings in production. I don't think Dark has any intentions of macroing this out. He's just springboarding off these 2 gold bases. He's not really mining from it, but it's production here. He's got a forward grid. It's essentially like having a proxy pylon. Another volley of corrosive bile thrown out. The Overlord's just hanging out, but if Dark loses his army, he probably loses the game at this point. There is a very slim, narrow path we could walk that turns this into a dramatic macro game. But much more likely is one of these players is going to find a way to kill the other very soon. Well, Dark has a huge army. MaxPax has still been building probes, a classic mistake. Here comes Dark with so much roaches that he has to retreat back with the Prism, juggles back. Volley of corrosive bile, gonna knock out the shield battery. No shield battery overcharge. There's a lot of Stalkers behind here. He can take down the shield, the cyber core, rather. And that means no more batteries or Stalkers, but the Adepts on the other side. A few Zerglings coming back to defend. He's got several Ravagers. Down goes the cyber core. Dark Shrine is on the way. And Dark might say, thank you for making a shrine to me. Just gateway units against Ravagers. We're really showing why the Stargate is such an important choice in the early game. 5 drones down. Dark has half the workers. Now, MaxPax has to... Well, he knows about the other gold base. The Dark Shrine might be the defining moment here. There is no lair. He's building spore crawlers. So Dark has his suspicions. He can potentially bring a spore crawler up. There is no wall. It's open season here. And Dark, well, shield battery overcharge could be used. Might as well use it now, as that shield battery won't survive otherwise. He agrees. Pulling back, fires off the corrosive bows, able to hit the battery. Down it goes. Warping in more charge lots. The Ravagers are breaking through, but the charge lots make a huge difference here, as they're able to get on top of the Ravagers. The Zerglings juggles back. The micro is near impeccable for MaxPax with what he has. Still trying to hold. Corrosive bow dodges it with a prism and with just a small juke on the adept. But losing probes. The Ravager's still going to work. He warps in 3 Dark Templar. Is that enough? The DTs to save the game and the series. Dark saw them warping in. He realized what was happening. Or at least he saw the shimmer. He's building a lair now. MaxPax might be able to turn it around. He lost most of his army. He could. He's just fighting through. Just the DTs here, but he's fighting around them. This is not the first, nor the last. The Immortal! The Warp Prism is coming back. The Immortal tucks into a corner. The Warp Prism should be back in time. But the Zerglings are into the main. Alright, MaxPax with DT Immortal Prism loses 7 more probes. Dark is getting suspiciously close. Shockingly close to evening up the economies here. In fact, Dark has more mineral income because of the gold basis, and because the probes have not had an easy day of mining. MaxPax taking another base. A DT. This game is all over the place. So, you know what? I think we did walk the narrow path to this somewhat evening out. As MaxPax is down 40 supply, but he has 5 gates, he has Archons, and he has a Warp Prism. And he's clearing up the creep, which is scattered throughout the map throughout this game. Oh my. Archons merging. No upgrades for either side besides the basic ones. No one's found the opportunity. 37 to 36 workers. It's a lot of Roach Ravager, but MaxPax has a very anti-Roach Ravager army. That Warp Prism is everything. Either he holds the Prism, or he loses. That's really where we are now. The Prism will make all the difference. Force Field, okay. The Zerglings, Charge Lock goes forward. The Zerglings are quite a wrinkle here. He's gonna warp in some Adepts, some Charge Lots, and some very nice spots. Dark has the supply, but he's funding all this with the gold bases. The Immortal pops out, going to get surrounded by Lings, will likely go down. It looks like it, and Dark. Oh, MaxPax's tenuous defense is falling apart. 29 probes left, the 3rd base. Dark is getting to the point he just needs to win 1 fight. But that Prism still exists. MaxPax just taps it out without some crazy Prism micro, I guess. Oh. Dark. He does it. He just lost too much. I'm gonna lose a pylon. MaxPax stretched every which way. Yeah, 23 roaches, 5 ravagers. I guess it wasn't enough. But of course, I can't. Ah, Dark. Why? He risks everything with the proxy hatch into double gold. And it all pays off. He takes the series 3-2 in the most Dark fashion. I feel like I say that every time, but every time it's continued to be true. MaxPax not quite able to hold it together despite scouting it. That's the maddening part to me. But well, I hope you enjoyed. It certainly made my day a bit better, but I hope it made yours as well. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon, but I hear liking and subscribing. It's still free for now. Be awesome if you could check out the second channel, where we got streams, gameplay VODs for Stormgate, Zero Space, and, you know, more content, all that. Find in the description. But also recommended autoplay. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.